Well, greetings. We're on day 13, start of a new week. Again, we're at Billy Chinook Canyon, just a beautiful place. Again, about 15 miles from my house. There's a great trail that brings you up that side there on top of that bluff. It's just wonderful. We're going to start doing shorter videos. I've gotten a little bit carried away on some of these, so there will be a little bit shorter, I hope. The most important question that you'll answer is the question that we'll deal with today. Who do you say Jesus is? Who do you say Jesus is? Lots of questions about who Jesus is, especially in the Gospel of Mark, but the question to you is, who do you say Jesus is? It's a deeply personal, transformative question that calls for a personal response. Who do you say that he is? Notice our devotion for today is from the 8th chapter of the Gospel of Mark. And if you remember for a moment that Mark was the first gospel that was written, maybe 50 or 60 AD, about 30 years after the death of Jesus, Mark was writing for people who were young in their faith. The earliest Christians, it was the first gospel. They were still in the process of defining what it means to follow Jesus and believe in him, and they didn't fully comprehend what Jesus meant for their lives. They didn't understand what Jesus was, and they didn't really understand what it means to believe in him. I thought I'd put a tape across the road down here. Dudes, hey! Mark writes his gospel with a sense of immediacy about the meaning and the identity of Jesus. It's a question that is all through the Gospel of Mark. Who is this Jesus? Who is this? In Mark chapter 2, Jesus was with a crowd. There's a bunch of people who had a sick friend. They tore off the roof and let their friend down through. Jesus heals them and sees the faith of their friends. And people, after he healed them, said, who is this that even forgives sins and heals? In Mark chapter 4, Jesus was asleep on a cushion in a boat when a great storm arose, and Jesus calms the sea and the waves, and the disciples say, hey, who is this guy that even the seas and the waves obey him? In chapter 6, Jesus was teaching in the synagogues and ruffling the feathers of the chief priests and the scribes, and they said, who is this that teaches with such authority? People didn't understand who Jesus was and what he was up to, and in Mark, there's this messianic question, messianic secret, where people keep asking, who is this? In the Gospel of Mark, at the end, in Mark chapter 15, Jesus is on the cross, and the sweat and the blood and the stench of death, people had been asking all the way through, who is this that calms, that heals, that forgives? The centurion, the unbelieving centurion in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 15, looks up at Jesus, the suffering servant, the sacrificial lamb, and he says, truly, this was the Son of God. The messianic secret in the Gospel of Mark is revealed. This suffering Jesus, this sacrificial lamb, is truly the Son of God. Who do you say that he is? It's a deeply personal, transformative question. Who do you say that Jesus is? Who is Jesus for you? That's what we'll be talking about this week. Jesus, the sacrificial lamb, who died with your name on his lips. It's about you. I know Rick Warren says it's not about you, but it's about you. It's about your response. It's about who you say Jesus is. Let that be a transformative question this week as we work through this journey toward Lent. I look forward to... Come on. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, not at Billy Chinook Canyon. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at Burger King. Enjoy the view one more time. See you tomorrow.